Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I want to start off by saying that any and all thoughts and opinions are just that, thoughts and opinions. In no way am I sharing professional advice when it comes to physical and mental health. These videos are simply for fun and to provide my thoughts on the topic. Do not send any hate to anyone I talk about, and please be kind in the comments. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new, welcome. We're going to go back into the next episode of the exposing videos for Amberlynn Reid. This is the fourth Q&A, I believe, that Alexis has done, and it's actually her final video. She hasn't uploaded anything since. Hopefully she comes back and exposes some more stuff, or who knows, she might be just doing a slow burn or something. But she has gotten quite a lot of traction, so I wouldn't be surprised if she does come back. But we're just going to get in the video now and see what's going on.
Hey guys, it's Alexis, and I want to start off this video by saying thank you guys so much for being patient with me. I've had a lot going on in my personal life, not relating to Amberlynn, and I've also been working a lot. But I keep getting comment after comment after comment on my TikTok saying, when's the next video? And I'm like, okay, I know, hold on, please.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about stepping into drama. Once you're in it, you're constantly going to have to stay in it. Otherwise, people are just going to keep asking, where are you going? What are you doing? When is the next upload?
But the wait is over. So today I am going to be answering some repeat questions that I haven't answered yet. But I'm also going to be responding to a couple things that Amberlynn said in her last live stream. So from the wise words of our favorite Gurl, shit's about to go down, wear a seatbelt and a helmet, light up a blunt because it's about to get crazy.
Is it just me, or are both these women just so goddamn cringy, honestly? They're like mentally 14.
Alexis doesn't bring receipts.
Okay, guys, so apparently I don't bring receipts. So I feel like I'm gonna have to really step it up in this one. Also, what are you talking about? And if this is the way that we're supposed to show receipts around here, I guess I have been doing it all wrong.
Yes and no. Alexis has actually provided some information and evidence towards certain things and hasn't really done it for others. And my opinion has always really been an allegation is just a story until evidence is provided. And really people should remain not skeptical, but have a basic level of skepticism to the situation, because you don't really know who is telling the truth. And it's not automatically call someone a liar, and don't automatically believe someone is telling the truth. Be in the middle until evidence is provided, because otherwise, you know, situations could happen in which someone could be falsely accused of something, or someone could be rightfully accused of something, and people are either defending them or people are hating against them for no real reason. So just stay in the middle and allow the situation to unfold before taking sides and just really hating on someone before you know the full truth.
Also, just regarding that specific screenshot, I just want to say that the Venmo transaction, the alleged Venmo transaction, was a Christmas gift. Also, who the fuck cares about what I'm spending it on? I also spent my parents' Christmas gift on bills too. I'm sorry that some of us have to actually go outside of our homes and can't just show up to work once a week drunk and make thousands of dollars. Okay, I'm sorry that that is not the reality for me and a lot of other people.
I only drink once a week.
Although I do agree with what Alexis has said, it's rather obvious to see that she's using a manipulation tactic. She's using like a herd mentality in order to justify her entitlement. She's saying, well, other people are upset because they work 9 to 5s and Amber gets money for doing the bare minimum. So my entitlement that people are calling me out for is suddenly justified now. No, it isn't. Just because you are friends with someone who has money does not mean that they owe you money. And the fact that you believed that throughout the first couple videos and you are getting backlash now, certainly doesn't change the fact that just because other people are doing it makes you any better. It's a shitty way to try and justify your actions. Also, she is right. Regardless of what she spends it on, it's her money. It was given to her as a gift. She can spend it on whatever she wants. The fact that you really judge her simply for spending on something doesn't really matter, because it's, at the end of the day, it's a gift for her.
It's part of my job now. They're buzz balls, by the way.
Anyways, next.
So I did speak to someone who was 20. I'm gonna downright say it. Then like her lying that like I didn't know Abby, like her saying that I knew Abby's 20, a lie.
Okay, so you guys have been telling me I need to read my screenshots out loud, so I'm gonna start doing that right here, right now. So Amberlynn said, Abby is talking about when I come to visit her. And I said, how many are you meeting? And she said, she sounds so excited, ha 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 ha. And I said, why am I, your best friend, not being visited? but some Bible-thumping 20-year-old is, I'm blocking you and your middle part. And she said, Laddie, because I was in a relationship at the time and I told her to stop calling me daddy. And then I said, enough, because I was so sick of it. Like, just shut up.
I completely understand where she's coming from, because it's like, I have had friends like that who refuse to really come and visit you or come see you, and they expect you to put all the effort in, and they really don't do anything that doesn't inconvenience themselves. So I do understand Alexis's feelings in this situation. That being said, if you get to the point in which you want to block someone, or you feel like you're going to block someone, just do it. Because otherwise, you're really just using it as sort of like an ultimatum, and I don't agree with them, because you're trying to force someone to do something they really don't want to do. Block them, move on, go on with your life. They don't care about you. Obviously, you're tired enough to want to block them in the first place, so the relationship isn't worth it. So just move on.
Anyways, the first thing I want to say about this is, you know well that you would not go flying to, I don't remember where Abby lives, but it is not in a state close to Amberlynn. But anyways, you would not fly to some random state if you weren't romantically interested in seeing someone. Because I was your supposed best friend, and for over a year, and the only time you ever tried to see me was when you needed a ride to Oklahoma and when you were sending me explicit videos trying to talk me out of my draws over the internet and with Cookiegate and other things that I won't re-mention. Because I think you thought that I would be like,
My pants will be off in 2.2 seconds.
but then you realized that I wasn't just going to be another one of your Gurls, so then you lost interest in seeing me again.
Oh boy, this is going to be a bit of a hard one to navigate, but Amber is the type of person to really not have friendships. She has backup relationships. And Alexis is the type of person to really be a lot like Amber, where she is sexually charged and she makes jokes. And she's not as bad as Amber is, but she goes back and forth with her. We've seen it in the messages and stuff too. So it's kind of more so you were both at fault in the beginning, and then it crossed over to Amber being more so at fault because she crossed the boundaries that Alexis has set. But if you start off a relationship with someone and then it turns into a friendship because it doesn't work out, you need to set boundaries that are ironclad and really have repercussions or consequences once they are crossed. You can't allow someone to constantly cross those boundaries and just allow it to make you feel uncomfortable and just to let it happen, because it's going to get in a situation where it happened with Amber. You have to either stick with your consequences and say, no, we can't be friends anymore, or you're going to have to readjust the relationship into the point where there is no sexual charged jokes or feelings or anything like that towards Amber, which was never going to happen. So it was always going to just end up with you breaking your friendship with Amber. So it was kind of a shit show from the beginning, and it was never really going to end in any other way but this. So I completely understand her blocking her and moving on. I completely agree with that. That was the best choice and the best thing you could have done. But at the same time, when you started that friendship, you really should have set those ironclad rules, and you should not have engaged in her, because otherwise she was only going to really just get worse from there.
I also just want to mention that nowhere in this text message or this entire conversation did Amberlynn ever refute the fact that Abby was 20, even though I literally said that she was.
We were solely just friends.
Right. And I'm the Easter Bunny. So, say we're living in a fantasy world, and you knew or thought that Abby really was 25. Don't you think that's still quite the age gap?
For me personally, it's more so the ages over the age gap. Like, if you're someone who is just turned 18 and someone who's 25 is trying to hit you up, there's a good chance they're doing it simply because you're now legal, and that person is not trying to break the law, but they're going to use the law to really justify their own morality. Because if they're trying to date someone who just turned 18, there's a good chance that if the legal age of consent was 16, they'd be going after a 16-year-old. Same thing with the opposite end of the spectrum. If someone in their 20s is going after an 80-year-old or a 90-year-old, they're probably not doing it because of love. They're doing it because of money or something like that. And that's really up to the 90-year-old whether or not they want to date that person. But just because that person is agreeing to do it doesn't mean it's any less, repulsive, in my opinion.
Okay, that's like a 6-year difference.
Right. 6 years. Anyways, this topic is not that important, but I did want to address that.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that's not really important. I mean, in the aspect of everything Amber has done, it's not as integral, but I would say it's pretty important. Like, why is a 30-year-old going after a 20-year-old, especially one that is dealing with their own innate homophobia and their own, really developing as a human being? 20, you don't really know who you are or what you want to do with your life, and your brain is not fully developed. So, someone like Amber, who, yeah, is mentally stunted herself, really shouldn't be going anywhere near a 20-year-old.
So the first question is, do you have any justice for Beck coming? I'm extremely curious on what has happened to Beck during their relationship. So if you haven't seen this video yet, and some of you may not have because it was released today, August 16th, I would highly suggest watching this video if you have any further questions about Beck and her relationship with Amber.
I know that Beck chose to be in the limelight with Amber, but I don't agree with people bringing Beck up. If they want to address some stuff, they will do it in their own time. Leave them be. If they don't want to be in the spotlight, just leave them be. It's the same thing with people trying to really get Crystal or Casey or Wifey to talk when they don't want to talk. People will do things on their own time. If they don't want to do it, leave them be. Stop bringing them up. If they want to be left alone, and they have stated they want to be left alone, just leave them be. Beck chose to do the Q&A with, I believe it was Karina Kaboom, which was their own decision. Awesome. They're finally being able to speak out and have their own piece and be able to do what they want. If they don't want to do it or they're not doing it, just leave it be and just let them move on with their lives.
Also, this is on Karina Kaboom's channel. And there wasn't a whole lot of questions on this video, but this was also just part 1. And I'm assuming Karina will release the other part or parts either tomorrow or later this weekend.
That's one of the things that Alexis was saying that I was like saying bad things about. Literally, no.
So this question asks, did Amber say anything to you about Beck's new partner? So Amberlynn said she didn't know anything about Beck's new partner when I mentioned it to her, but then she asked to see the post and I had made a comment like, "Aw, Becky looks so good and their partner is like really hot." And needless to say, she did not appreciate that comment, but she didn't speak on either of them in that very moment.
Where?
No, seriously. Where? Where did I say you had a whole bunch of bad things to say about them?
Yeah, that's really just a narcissistic side coming out. Like, she has to justify her own actions by making up lies or exaggerating the truth in order to justify her actions.
So the second question that I want to address is, ever since you turned, do you get scared when you see an Oklahoma license plate? Amber might be following you. And this question is in reference to...
There was a Pennsylvania license plate in front of Amberlynn's apartment and she thought it was Jordy. No. Never happened. Never happened a day in my life. Secondly, Alexis. You know what? Let me just do it for you. Alexis literally paid to find out all of Jordy's information. I'm telling you.
Okay, so first of all, you were terrified that you were being stalked by Jordy or someone that Jordy paid. And that is why you asked me to find the information about him so you could reach out to him and ask him. Secondly, I never paid for anything. Everything that I found online was public phone book websites. And when we had this conversation, we were on the phone. I already looked for text messages. And I do have the screenshots of what I sent her, but I don't want to show the screenshots to show what website that I found this information on because I don't want to out Jordy and his public information. Public information, by the way. I did not and would not pay for his information. More importantly, I've already talked to Jordy about this, so whatever. But do you know who was there to witness this conversation? Jade was. So you better hope that she continues to want to stay behind closed doors when it comes to you, because I'm sure that if she didn't, she would love to confirm everything that I'm saying, including the allegation that you hit her, that you refuse to speak about. You'll talk about other things relating to Jade, but you refuse to touch on the subject where you hit her.
Public information is public information. Like, if you don't want people contacting you, then either circumvent it by changing those things. And of course, like, when I'm talking about that, I mean like social media or like phone numbers. It is really hard to obviously break rent agreement or your lease agreement or move from a place where you own or move from your parents' house. Like those type of things are harder, and I do, agree and empathize with those people who have had those things doxed. I'm also talking about social media and phone numbers and stuff like that. You can private accounts, you can make new accounts, you can change your phone number. It's inconvenient, it is annoying, and just overall just a bad situation, but they can be circumvented if you want to do those things. More so, I would say if someone is going to show up to your house or threatens to show up to your house, contact your local authorities and let them know of the potential threat and type of situation that's going down. Same thing with like swatting and stuff like that. It's always a very good idea to really make sure that your local authorities know, just in case of something potentially happening in the future.
So that's really, 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 really interesting, Amberlynn. Also, I just want to add that I don't owe Jade anything. She told you to not talk about her. She never told me to not talk about her. So if you're gonna talk about her, you might as well touch on the subject where you technically committed domestic violence. But knowing you, you're just gonna go ahead and keep this one under the rug.
Amber is never really going to be someone who's going to talk about the situations with Crystal, Casey, or Wifey because there is no justifications for her actions. And I believe more so that if someone doesn't want to be in the public eye, or someone doesn't want to be, they pretty much opted out of being on social media and stuff like that, I think people really should just leave it be and stop mentioning them. Not saying that they don't have to do that, it's simply just a respect thing for me. I'm not going to really bring any of them up unless the specific situation I am talking about involves them, and I'm really just going to leave it bare bones. But if someone else wants to bring them up, then that's more so their own discretion to do.
Fuck.
So this next question is, wait, so are you and her friends again? Absolutely no, we're not friends again. And I will never be friends with her again, especially if she is still with Emily. That's a hard no for me, dog. That is my boundary. I am not budging. I do not care. Which is why I said in one of my videos, Amberlynn, do not move to Wisconsin if you're not sure that Emily is not going to screw you over. Because I'm not going to come pick you up and save you. I'm not. I'm simply not. Now, I know in her live stream, she had answered a question saying that she missed me.
Do I miss Alexis? Yeah. I bet Alexis misses you. Yeah.
So after I saw this, I did unblock her and I did text her. And here's what I said. Because, like, I do miss her. But I also can miss someone and still not agree with what they're doing and with what they're saying and think that they're not a good friend to me. So then after I texted her, it immediately turned into her crying.
Alright, two things. First and foremost, why are you even watching her live streams in the first place? Like, if you're, like, me personally, if I just broke up with a friend and I don't want to deal with their bullshit, I'm sure as hell not going to be watching their live streams. On top of that, why on earth would you unblock her just to message her? It just seems, I don't know, really weird in high school mentality.
But, like, if you loved me and valued me as much as you proclaim that you do, why wouldn't you just do everything that you could to keep me around when you had me around? Like, I do feel bad that she's sad. I do feel bad that she feels like I betrayed her. I do experience sad emotions when it comes to Amberlynn. I'm not just some heartless that doesn't care. And I feel like a lot of people think that. I do care. But there's also a lot of things that she says and does, whether it's to me or to other people, that I'm not okay with. And I haven't been okay with. And a lot of people in my comments are like, well, you were friends with her up until this. You were friends with her up until Tommy. Yes, but you guys act like I wasn't saying things behind closed doors. You guys have no idea what we talked about. Me and her were on the phone for 5, 6, 7 hours a day. Like, we talked about a lot. And when that whole thing with Casey came up, the Mr. Snowball or Snowflake or whatever, when that whole thing came up, I felt so bad for her. But at the same time, I was like, dude, but like, you did these things. And yes, I did publicly defend her quite a lot. But you have no idea what I said to her when there wasn't a camera in my face or her face, okay? And just because you're friends with somebody doesn't mean you automatically condone and accept everything that comes with them.
Yeah, absolutely not. Your energy is completely misplaced. Do not throw that shade at us and act like you're the victim in this situation, because you were the one that stood by her, knowing full well what she did for 4 years, friends with her for a year after that. So for 5 years, you knew the type of person she was and things that she has done to her exes, to her family members, to her friends, to her pets, every single thing that she has done, and yet you chose to be friends with her. Do not come at us for that energy, knowing full well the type of person you are and the type of person you chose to be friends with. That is completely on you, and I'm starting to see why you decided to disappear after this video. And who gives two shits about what you were saying behind closed doors, because you weren't giving that energy in front of everyone in public. You were sucking it up. You were enjoying the attention, knowing full well that so many people have suffered at Amber's hands. On top of that, you wanted to get in that Grand Canyon of hers, knowing full well what she has done to Beck, Wifey, and Crystal, Casey, God, and who else? Destiny. Every single person. On top of that, you were still friends with her, knowing full well she was going after a 20-year-old while she was in her mid-30s. So that energy that you have for us is wildly misplaced at this point.
And speaking of things that I don't agree with, this is another prime example of me calling her out, not publicly, privately, and her still being absolutely delusional. So she says, I'm in love with someone who genuinely loves me for me. And I said, you're delusional. And she said, why can't you ever just be happy for me? She's never ever done anything to hurt me. She's only made me feel safe and loved. Which is absolutely not true. Do you know how many hours I had to sit on the phone with this girl because she didn't want to be alone, because Tommy was being absolutely awful to her, ignoring her, telling her she doesn't want to talk to her, telling her she misses her ex who has passed away. And in the meantime, responding to people and talking poorly about Amberlynn to these random people on Instagram. And you have the balls to sit here and tell people she, and me including, she is so amazing and she's never done anything to hurt you. You are a liar. Anyways, so I follow that up with, because she's lied to you and is mean to you and gaslights you. She's literally a psych nurse. She can do it better than anyone. She preys on you because you're vulnerable. And then I said, you are a liar. And then she proceeds to say, wow, we will never see eye to eye on this. I love you, but you're hurting me. I said, you cry about her every single day. Why are you being so blind right now? And she said, I've only ever cried because she was such in a low mental health space. This has never happened before she was Zach's, and you literally know that. And I said, that's not true. And she said, yes, it is.
I'm just going to cut it in here and just say, like, first and foremost, like, I hate when people justify their shitty behavior by saying that they are or have some sort of bad mental health or mental illness, disorder, disability, whatever it may be. There are millions of people with those type of conditions. There are plenty of people who are really good people, very kind and generous and hardworking people. Your disorder, your mental illness, your bad mental health, or whatever you may have is not a justification for your actions. If it is, then you need to look inwards and see why you think your bad behavior is justified by those disabilities or those disorders or whatever it may be. Because if they, meaning other people, can live their lives not being assholes, why can't you also not be an asshole?
And then I said, she lied about how much she knew about you and was watching reaction channels. It happened right in my face on FaceTime.
I've talked about that before. That was shady as hell. It also points out the type of person that Emily is, knowing full well that if she, as a person, can see all the things that Amber has done and all the things that other people are pointing out about Amber, and you still continue to date her, you're not dating her for her personality, that's for sure. So there only leaves the looks and the money.
You admitted it when we talked about it privately, when you asked why I didn't like her. Not once did she ever refute anything that I was saying. Not once in this entire conversation did she say, no, that never happened. And then she immediately started doing what she does best and started deflecting and said, Alexis, you've genuinely hurt me. And I was like, you haven't hurt me. Every time you get a new girlfriend, I'm on the back burner. Unless her and that girlfriend aren't doing well, and then she's flirting with me, and then she likes me again. You guys genuinely have no idea how much this woman has hurt me. And you can think I'm an awful person, that's fine. But you will never know the full story, and you will never know the things that I had to go through for her.
Jeez, Alexis, you really sound like Amber just then, like word for word. That was literally what Amber says on a daily basis. Like, you will never understand the full story. And okay, so why is that? Why don't we understand the full story? Well, it's simple. Because the two of you like to cherry pick the situation in order to take the worst parts and place it in the forefront to make yourself seem more justifiable. Tell the full story from beginning to finish with every detail in it, and people will fully understand the story. You can't hide things and expect us not to wonder what's going on or fill in the gaps when you choose to leave them out. And the reason why people are clocking you is because you chose to be friends with Amber after watching reaction channels and Amber's channel for 4 years. You fully admitted that. And I've said it multiple times. You knew full well the type of person she was, and you chose to be friends with her. And then after that, for a whole year, you stood by and watched the stuff with Erica, the stuff with Emily, the stuff with the 20-year-old, the stuff with all the married women, all of the stuff that Amber has done throughout that whole year. And you not only stood by her, but you also defended her and sucked up a lot of the attention. So now that you're getting backlash, you can't really complain and say, well, people are calling me a bad person. They don't know the full story. Well, we don't need the full story because we see right through you. Like, it's not our fault that you're a shitty person. And we're not going to pretend like we're all guilty of protecting someone for doing something wrong. But at the same time, you can't have that same repeated behavior over and over again and then cry about it later, because you know full well what she was doing the entire time. And I don't care what anyone says, I wouldn't have remained friends with Amber knowing full well that she was dating someone that was barely legal. I wouldn't have remained friends with Amber knowing full well that she put her hands on her partner. I wouldn't have remained friends with Amber if I knew she was attempting to date married women. I wouldn't have remained friends with Amber if I knew that she was throwing hands with multiple of her exes too. Like, all of these things you knew, and you still remained friends with her. So don't come at us for clocking you exactly for what you are.
She did not love me. She did not care about me. I was always a second option. Always a second option. And she never prioritized me the way that I prioritized her, and I will stand on that forever. And you can sit there and say that I'm bitter and say this and say that. Maybe I am. Maybe I am bitter because I did so much and I went through so much. And for what? For what? This is also why it takes me so long to make these videos. Not only because I'm actually editing, unlike somebody, but this is also very emotionally toiling for me, okay? And I realize nobody said I had to take this all to YouTube, but I wanted to. I wanted to. She can't just sit here and hurt people and hurt all of her girlfriends and hurt all of her friends and not have a single person stand up and say something. And if I've taught her anything in this entire relationship, is that maybe she should think before she speaks. And maybe she should see people for their actual value and not because they're attractive or not because of what they can do for her.
I'm sorry, I just don't have empathy for this woman, because it's like, it would like be the same thing as me dating a scammer that was a known scammer and then me getting scammed and then crying about being scammed. How am I supposed to cry about being scammed knowing full well the person I date was a scammer? Like, you went into a relationship and then a friendship with Amber knowing full well that she was a manipulative and abusive person. Like, 4 years of content, again, you said it yourself. You watched her for 4 years on and off. And even if you didn't watch every single video, you should have got enough red flags to see everything that Amber has done in her past. And if you had even a slight little hint of what Amber has done, you should have done more research before you got into a friendship with her, because that's really what most people would do. Like, if you meet someone and you had some stories about them and went, oh, okay, so they have some type of labels towards them, maybe I should do a little bit of research before I become friends with this person. You chose not to do that. Well, you probably did choose to do that, saw the red flags, overlooked it because you probably got drama and attention and probably some money out of it, didn't get the drama, attention, and money you wanted, and now you're upset and you're just playing two-faced. So, I don't really have the empathy for you, because it is what it is at this point. It's not the same thing as Beck, Destiny, Crystal, or Casey, because they didn't have that prior knowledge. You had it completely. You had 4 years of content. Sorry.
Maybe Amberlynn should actually love the people that love her. And I did love her. A lot. A lot. Sometimes more than anyone or anything else in my life. But I am realizing now I was only just another character in her fucked up little show. She didn't care when I got doxxed and I had to leave my job. She didn't care when girlfriends or potential love interests broke up with me because of her. She didn't care when I was struggling, whether that was emotionally or financially or mentally. It was always only about her. And if it wasn't about her, she sure as made it about her.
Honestly, at this point, it's just circular. Like, I do have a slight bit of empathy for her, but it's nothing in comparison to I would have for like the other exes Amber has really dated, because most of them didn't have prior knowledge. Like, you played in a minefield, you blew your hand off, and now you're crying that your hand is missing. It is what it is. Honestly, at this point, just go get some therapy. Like, seriously, just get Amber to Venmo you some money and just spend it on therapy, because I just don't have empathy. Well, I mean, I do. I have a little bit of empathy, but it's not the same thing it would be for, like, Beck or Casey or Crystal. I'm sorry. It's just, it really isn't.
I will say it. I had a crush on Alexis off and on throughout our whole friendship. And I've always been very upfront with that. But I'm able to, like, admit it.
I'm sorry, but like, where and when did I ever say that I didn't like you back? I have quite literally shown screenshots in previous videos that stated that I was interested in pursuing something with you. And you claim that I'm downplaying all of this. How? Yes, I did say Cookiegate was unsolicited. Yes, it was, because the entire conversation that we were having when you were screen sharing your entire conversation with Erica to try to prove to me that you weren't talking about me was also unsolicited. I didn't ask for that. You did that on your own volition. So you can stop telling people that I'm trying to downplay what was going on between us. I'm not. If anybody is trying to downplay what was going on between us or our friendship in general, that's you. And the only reason why we didn't date, you can tell everybody it was a gut feeling, but you know that it's because I wouldn't let you push me around. Not only push me around, but have me be a yes man to everything that you say and do. I have never been that kind of a person, and I will never be that person. And I knew that you knew that. I also knew how sneaky and snaky and slimy you were in relationships. And why would I subject myself to that kind of behavior?
Excuse me, but you did subject yourself to that type of behavior. Not in a relationship form, but in a friendship form. This is what you're literally complaining about. Like, you spent the past 10 minutes complaining about how you were emotionally abused and used, and now you're complaining that you don't want to be didn't want to be in a relationship with her because she's sneaky, slimy, and snaky. Like, hello? You literally just gave up a relationship to be a friend with someone who treated you like that in this first place. Also, you're perfectly fine when she was doing it with Jade and she was doing it with Beck, because you watched the content, you seen the content, you interacted with Jade and saw everything that was going on, and you're still friends with her. So you're perfectly fine when it was happening to other people, but not you. That's when it no longer is acceptable. And that's why I cannot stand you, because you are two-faced like that. Everyone else is perfectly fine to be treated like that until it happens to you. Suddenly, now you have to speak out and you have to speak your truth. Well, your truth was perfectly fine when, you know, she was doing it to other people. God, I don't understand how anyone likes this woman. It's just, oh my God. Alright, I'm just going to end the video here, because I know for a fact that if I continue on, I'm just going to rage and I'm going to have to cut out a bunch of stuff. So, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.